Hello, welcome back to Star Wars Ashes. I'm so sorry. Please forgive us. It's in 2 weeks. The New Year didn't do well. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Yeah, things ended up being kind of rough. We do send our apologies and condolences for your entertainment on Monday nights, but we're back. We're back. Star Wars Ashes is back. Episode 11. I think we're going with Heir to the Salt. I think it's the consensus of what this week is, with our usual salty naming scheme. We'll find a way to keep going. I don't know by episode 50 how we'll be doing. We might need to some other meme to pick on by that point. Maybe do stuff on Mandalorian or something. I don't know. We'll figure out things. Anyways,
An entire expanded universe out there. We have
excuse me, that's no longer canon, okay?
I was about to say that is no longer canon. We could just start taking the names from that, and they could not say anything.
True. All right, I'll start looking up book titles and stuff, and we'll figure out stuff. I'll keep a short list, a sticky note, just for our saltness. Anyways, we'll get things kicked off and summarize a little bit of last episode, as far as we all remember it, because we all have the memory of. I have a memory of a goldfish, and I don't think it's that much different for the rest of us. So I mean, memories are kind of here and there. But we had basically we returned to the crew in transit on their way to Roche, an asteroid field. Well, it's a system, but the main attraction is this asteroid field that's used heavily. It was used during the Clone Wars. It was used during the Rebellion. It was used. It's a frequent stop. It is a major. Not transwarp. Hyperspace lane. I don't know why transwarp came to mind first. Stupid Star Trek. So they got there. They had some dialogue on the way there. We came back, and there was that scene where we had Mason and Lissy, with the whole comment about there's something powerful in the cargo bay, and Mason kind of helped console her and whatnot. Ended up bringing it up to the rest of the crew. They called her into like their meeting room, which was basically just in the like crew lounge type thing that they have for the spot on their ship that's like dead center of the ship. She tried to elaborate on what she saw, and it seemed really kind of weird. Everyone still not quite sure what to do with things, but they, more stuff at least is presenting itself in this whole like weird like kind of puzzle of things. And there was another follow-up conversation between Mason and Lissy a little bit in the cockpit. That's right, because she was talking about how she was sick of being on basically the bottom rung of society. Sort of what we've already heard from Heral Turlan, your buddy. Similar type of story, which is not so surprising. It is the underworld, and it is not a part where people are exactly doing well. So it's not not surprising to hear this again. But especially from her when she's already young and whatnot, and already being kind of involved in almost always already being in the sex trade, yada yada yada. So Mason was trying to be that like beacon of, trying to be that new hope for her, to use a proper Star Wars reference, which didn't work. I remember we rolled, and it was not exactly the most. It was not a successful roll, so it's a kind of a we'll hold on to it and wait and see. That's going to be a work in progress. Then you guys end up getting to the asteroid, or the asteroid field system. You see the Nebula B frigate from the Republic, where the Major Sill is presumably holding the meeting, not holding the meeting out of, but where he's originating sort of it, because he obviously takes the shuttle into the base. They go through the asteroid field, safe travels. Mason's a good pilot. Whether he's good at other things is always up for debate, but he's a good pilot. We got to basically, as it shows here with the splash art, basically the base on the asteroid field. You guys landed. There was some discussion about trying to make Lissy kind of be like a bodyguard and bring her along. You were going to put her in the reinforced Mason coat thing that Nard had crafted for Mason before Mason got the smuggler's jacket or smuggler's trench coat in the middle of combat because he had nothing else more important to do. So yeah, so they put her in that, and she puts on her tough face and everything to try to and they were thinking about whether they hand her a rifle or not, and there was a lot of discussion back and forth of whether that was a smart idea or not, and they wasn't even sure the rifles even worked. And sure enough, as they landed in the base and got into the big landing dome and sat down and they actually walked out, Lissy fires off a couple shots, determined that the rifles do in fact work, much to the agitation and sort of surprise of everybody else around at the landing pad, and probably to the absolute panic of Kato.
The word you're looking for is chagrin of us all.
Sure, yeah. And you did an assessment. You saw all the people around, a lot of low rank people. The Greenpeace equivalent group is here, and in sheer numbers, trumping like everybody in numbers, is sure enough the Quasar Riders. And to that point, that as you guys kind of skirted around them more or less, and kind of navigated around the fact that they're kind of all here and armed, you ran into, I believe it was Elsdar. Yes, Elsdar. He is the father of the leader of the Quasar Riders. So the Quasar Riders had broken apart from this organization called the Cray Cabal. And so they had a conversation. Kato and Els are fairly familiar with each other. They are at least have an approachable conversation, and they point out all the stuff with people from his son's group are here and blah blah, what do they think they're doing. And further on to that, I can't remember what the trigger point was, but the conversation ended up shifting to suspicious things the Hutts are doing, namely that they apparently, the rumor is, they are taking special people, old and young, and basically repurposing them into some kind of weapon. And that noticeably was to the concern and alarm of the rest of the group, but they weren't able to go and pry into it more. The meeting started to get underway. They entered into the other main dome where the meeting was taking place, and it's like a big central table where everyone's kind of housed around. Obviously, the Wookiee of the Quasar Riders is like pretty much near the head of the table, and right across from Elsdar. They have a nice little stare off. Everyone else took their spot, and that's when the Republic soldier, Major Sill, came in full battle garb and looked pretty menacingly down at the group before he had actually even taken steps towards his seat. He's basically still kind of like 2 levels up on this thing that recedes into the pit, basically, where the table and the group is. So, any initial reactions from Kato or Mason as he steps in the room and looks very unpleasant at the attendants in the room?
Mason will just keep his hand rested near his waist, in case some shit goes down. But yeah, he's looking around for any place he could take cover quickly, if shit were to go bad. Including behind our very large friend, if that need be.
Okay.
Yeah, Kato's still all smiles as this is going on. Of everyone else in the room.
Sorry, the first part of that sentence? What about everyone else in them?
He still smiles, turns his head, looks around, trying to gauge the the reactions of everyone else in the room, see how they're
Sure.
taking this, and maybe what he can kind of gain from their how they're reacting to his presence.
Sure. Without rolling for more deeper detail, the general glance and feeling of the group is that like the upstarts, the younger, smaller crews that are ambitious and daring are clearly intimidated. There's probably like maybe a hint that maybe you hear a whisper from your right where they didn't actually think this was real. Like there's probably a point of like maybe this is just some sort of other, this will be a Republic person, but not like a special Republic person. This is gonna be some like the secretary's secretary or something showing up and trying to negotiate business with thugs and whatnot. So they, maybe some of them they thought they were just going to come in and just lean on them real hard and get what they want. So this major shows up, who's as big as a mountain. He's got like battle scars on his face, probably a good number of them. He's stern glance doesn't show anything. He's got a great poker face, all that type of stuff. So everyone else is just kind of like, shit. for the young, smaller groups. The not too much reaction out of the more established groups, Craig Cabal, Black Sun, Quasar Riders, not too much flinching goes on there.
Black faces all around.
Yeah, they're pretty stern and focused. This is proper business, so they, there's already the expectation. They have the cool to handle this. It's the upstarts that were realizing that they were in over their head. So you kind of, you get that sense of trepidation from them. Yeah, and Sharon.
What if I did want to look deeper? What do I need to roll for that?
Roll a perception.
All right, gentlemen.
Do two purple. We'll start off normal. Unless there's a specific person you want to target.
Nah, not this time. Not to open up with.
All right.
Two purple?
Two purple, sure.
Let me remind myself of anything I have here
actually,
real fast.
Well, there's a good question here. Is are you concerned about this Republic figure here? Because you're still all smiles, but do you have any put offness yourself? Like, did you think this was fake? Did you think there was going to be something else to this meeting? Is his arrival of this 6'4" guy that's bulked up? And
I will say, you know what? Yeah, I think there's definitely a sense of no matter what, Kato needs to avoid stepping on this guy's toes, because best case scenario, he's going to just kick us out, sales lost. Worst case scenario, he looks like he might actually take offense to something and pull a blaster.
Okay, add a black die then. That's fair.
The things I do for roleplay, chat.
Integrity to the roleplay.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Did that work?
Yeah, it completely net zeroed.
Oh shit!
So then the onus is on you to succeed. Obviously, you don't succeed. Ironically, it was the black. Ironically, it was the black dice or the setback dice that screwed you. So yeah, you're not. So obviously, you're just not able to distinguish too much beyond. You're basically caught up with this imposing figure and his like entourage of trained, well-trained soldiers, or therein, that you're not able to distinguish much as he like steps down with his because he's big heavy guy with heavy boots and stuff, so there's that thud as he's like approaching in. Probably a little bit theatrically, because he knows he's got the weight behind the steps. He's probably like not trying to make it sound quiet. He's giving in to letting those footfalls ring through the silent room as he comes up and looks around the table. All right, you degenerates. Major Sill, how's it going? Like, looks around the table. I don't actually really give a shit. Alright, we're gonna start this bidding. We're gonna get right down to business. I don't care about all the chit chat and all the building up. You know why you're all here and what we're trying to do. I don't need all the Q&A time. So you can start presenting. We'll start from the left and figure out what you offer to make this work. Because I'm telling you, it's not just about the money. You can throw a bunch of stuff at us. We gotta make sure this plan, what we're trying to do around here, is gonna be effective. And he like shoots a darting laser glance at the upstart groups that are just like, shit, he's already singling us out. And yeah, so he opens up the table, and there's probably a moment of pause for any and all the groups to like take the dive, I guess, in the conversation to see who wants to like put themselves out there first. So you have a moment.
Yeah, no, Kato's gonna hold off and let someone else take the first step. And he's like gonna hold up a finger in Lizette's direction. Be like, no, we wait.
Yeah.
Mason will look silently at Kato.
Yeah, because we have
basically.
Sorry.
I was gonna say, Kato, you basically know this look to mean Mason is putting this entire situation on your back. This is not Mason's wheelhouse. It's the look of like,
that is true.
Oh, you man.
The plan very much was, you are the backup negotiator.
Yes. If you need an extra
backup,
voice,
I know, but
if you need an extra voice, I got you.
Right.
But if you can handle it on your own, you can do it. I believe in you. use your clever wit.
Fair.
Yeah.
I think we did establish, if I remember correctly, that Mason would be loosely familiar with Major Sill. Like, you've heard of him in the Republic or the Rebel Alliance during your time there, I think.
Yeah, I believe so.
So I think it was basically just that it was established clearly that you guys knew he was a veteran, a combat veteran. He wasn't a desk pusher. He's not a like some of those soldiers that are like soldiers that are almost like more like politicians in the military.
Yeah, like high-ranking officers that don't fight on the field anymore and just send people.
Yeah, they sell themselves more than they actually have actual notoriety and whatnot. Whereas this one was, Major Sill is notoriety. He's like fought and earned type stuff. He's been on battlefields all over the place and obviously come out alive and whatnot.
Yeah.
Which is, maybe odd for this particular meeting, but it is kind of what it is. So yeah, I think Elsdar ends up speaking up, and he puts out a data pad, or he holds up a data pad, and he gives the pleasant, very over nice and whatnot, oh, thank you for your time. I'm so glad you could be here. I know things are very pressing and whatnot with the Empire, and I am more than happy to present what we offer. And he goes, what we can do is we can take this and make a delivery to the targets, and he specifies a bunch of Hutt planets. that cover quite a bit. Like he kind of does like we can cover this sector and this sector, and like he actually names off some stuff that's like, you know, quite convincing and bold, and you know, and it gets into a lot of numbers, which is why I'm kind of doing the more overarching description of this, because he gets into numbers of like we can move this much in this amount of time to these places, and it's pretty. I'd say it's like high middle quality. Like he's not obviously going to be, you know, the best per se, but he comes in with a really strong like presentation of generally what he can do, how well he can move things and all that, and it sounds pretty good. It's not foolproof. Maybe maybe he comes in maybe at the end with that kind of silent caveat that he can't really do Nar Shaddaa to the same volume, and it has more of a, it would only, you know, Nar Shaddaa would be at this rate, and it's very drastically reduced than what he can move, how well he can move the droids and where he could go in terms of other locations. And also conveniently he doesn't mention really like any key targets that he could cover. Like there's no, we can hit this palace, or we can just, you know, land in the area of these business dealings, or this, you know, maybe like a shipyard or whatever for the Hutts. None of that really comes up. It's just certain planets and sectors, but it's very kind of generalized. Like he would just basically drop them into the public or something. Like it doesn't seem like there's like surgicalness to it. So yeah, he presents that. He eases the data pad back and kind of sits back, you know, has it maybe grabs it like a drink in hand, you know, he just kind of threw it out there. And then I think the Wookiee just kind of like scoffs, makes kind of a show of like his disdain for it, and maybe even throws in like a jab about how that's not even really much of a deal. You know, they could get like get like a smuggler guild or whatever to do the same job, and it comes basically back with like a verbal bitch slap on it.
The Wookiee was with the Quasar Riders, right?
Yeah, he's like the second in command. Not the second in command. He's the second hand. The second, not the number one, the number two.
Okay.
Number one.
Yeah, that was the reference. Not the number one. So anything initial there?
Kid, it was. Oh, you were frozen on a great frame there.
Yeah, no, I gotta be careful about that. Don't want to get turned to an internet being just yet.
Yep. Mason, could I do a perception check?
For?
To see if, so while this meeting is going on, I want to keep my eye out for anyone who's potentially trying to pull some shit. Like maybe if there's some people moving around looking to instigate something, or maybe someone here is gonna kill someone present at the meeting, because there's a lot of high-ranking people here. Mason's just gonna take a quick little peeksy doodle. If
Sure.
That's all right with you.
3 purple.
I'll offer an assist to die if I can.
All right. How do you assist while all the talking's going on?
Mason, I guess, would lean in and be like, I'm gonna keep my eyes open for anyone trying to pull something stupid. And then
I think this comes down to Kato is listening to the Craig-Cabal's pitch. At the same time, he himself is also trying to judge, and that's to split his attention across the room enough to where he could like nudge Mason in a direction if anything is out of sorts.
Sure. All right.
cool. Do I add a blue dice to that?
Yep.
Is that what that is?
Yep. Sounds good.
Cool. Blue dice on my perception.
Wow. Oh. There you go.
5 successes.
And just one lowly little threat. He's just like holding the line, like, I got this. I can still do some influence. Even if they succeed, I get something relevant. I'm here.
I everything.
Yeah.
The dark side is strong with that die.
Yeah.
All right.
So, I guess you
What
notice.
do I
I
do?
guess you notice quite a few things. You notice, I think, one of the. Oh, that's a great reference, by the way. I think one of the things you do catch is like somewhat the lesser of them, but still kind of perhaps potentially annoying or whatever to each of their own. One of them is that one of the upstarts crew is like eyeing up Lissy, and they seem to be like typing in like a business offer on like into like a data pad to like pass over to like Kato. That's like, hey, we'll take. You don't catch the details because your vision's probably not the greatest view, but you can clearly tell that there's like something about her going on and some dollar figures that show up or some whatever they're called, it's energy credits cost associated with it.
Yep.
So that's being formulated. So the one group is kind of like sort of paying attention, but seem to be very quickly like, I guess they're waiting for everyone else to take their turn. So in the meantime, they're looking at her as like, hey, we can do stuff with that.
Yep. Would those guys be Black Sun that were pulling that shit? Looking at
No, it's just one of the more upstart, one of the more, the like dozen or so faceless but ambitious, daring like little groups.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Like us, but with no faces.
Yeah, like us with no faces. The Black Sun member group, and there's a relatively compact entourage of them, and they have kind of like, I think, if I recall, if not, this is how it will be because of the weeks that we've missed. But they're the most like business suit presentable people here. Like even Elsdar, he's kind of got like a nice but ultimately underworldy, rugged type look going for him. He's got more not Italian mafia because they're actually dressed well. I was trying to think of another better.
If we're running with the
How about the Irish mob?
I'm not familiar enough to know if that would be the right difference.
if we're running with how they kind of looked in the Clone Wars, they kind of had like this very regal royal robe sort of thing going on.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what you're looking for, or are you looking
Yeah,
for something?
kind of. Yeah, we can go with that as a variation to what I was thinking. That's fine. I'm totally fine with it. But I was to prefer more to Elsdar as a point of comparison. Like Elsdar's got like the kind of
I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about
Elsdar's got like kind of the rugged street business kind of look going to it. So it's like maybe got sort of a nice-ish long coat that's kind of open, and it's like maybe like a vest or something underneath, so it's kind of nice. Whereas the Black Sun they have more proper suit, maybe more of a regal thing, more of like maybe one of those like double-breasted like robe suits type thing. And their entourage is just really compact. They're here with like the one person who's sitting down and like two people, one over each shoulder. Basically, they don't have many numbers here. They're probably, they're about the same technically as you. They seem to be presenting. They're typing up something on a data pad as well, or at least the one that's sitting at the table, and they're definitely eyeing Kato a lot while doing it. Like there's a lot of pauses of as they're like getting things written up, typed in. They're kind of. A lot of pauses and thought, looking over at him while they're getting something drawn up. And but more pressing, and as we kind of go up the tiers of thing, is kind of as sort of mentioned before, but the re-equate. The Quasar Riders are, they're here in large numbers. They come in with so much quantity for this visit, and they're all armed. They're all looking like they're kind of like ready for if anything goes down. But you get the feeling like as they stand there, they're like really antsy, and they're like, you know, constantly have like their hands on the handle of their blaster pistols and whatnot. And it's like they're waiting for the moment to just start taking people's head off and start popping shot. Like they're just waiting for that cue. Like there's that moment where they're like looking around. They got that kind of, you know, it may be like anxiety step sort of to their stance. They can't really sit still or stand still in one spot very well. They keep kind of like making those glances over to the Wookiee as if, you know, making sure that maybe a signal hasn't been come down and whatnot. Like he didn't make the gesture for them to start going. Like they're ready. They're looking for something.
That doesn't bode well. Yeah, those Quasar Rider boys, they come in with quantity over quality, that's for sure. Yikes. And they're probably still pissed at us, which is great. And they probably also are really desperate because they lost a bunch of guys on that last operation we saw. So, unless they got lots of dudes. I mean, they probably do have lots of dudes. But, I mean, that was a lot of dudes to lose. They lost like 50 dudes, man.
I mean, if we look at the scoreboard, they've taken a lot of hits because they took at the Endor site, they took a handful of hits there, including like, you know, supervisor, and you ran off with their or destroyed the ship that they came in on, or one of the ships that they came in on. So we don't even know if those people are still stranded there. So there's that.
We don't actually.
There's the hut op that you ended up running into that they just apparently got mowed down by that reinforced security droid. So a bunch of them got like fucking slaughtered. I can't remember what the numbers that we had for that. It was like 50 or something, 50, 60 of them in total.
50 something guys, yeah.
And
it's a lot of dudes.
Yeah. They probably had ships at the Star Battle over Neon. And yet they're still here with like another like 50, 60 fucking soldiers.
They got lots of dudes. I don't want to be on their bad side, but we are already on their bad side. I just don't want to be further on their bad side.
Well, we can be on their bad side. We just need not to be downrange of them.
Also that. Yeah, we could put people in front of us. You know, like the Black Sun or other bad dudes, you know. Okay. Yeah, again, fuck. Mason knows he's a hothead, so he doesn't want to say anything stupid. So he's staying silent mostly for this.
But he wants to say something stupid.
He absolutely wants to say something, but he knows it'll be stupid, so he doesn't want to say it. Again, he's a hothead for a reason, so he said this is a room full of very angry dudes with big guns, and I'd rather not piss everybody off, so I'm gonna be quiet. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. So the Wookiee ends up taking over the room next, basically. He speaks up and, you know, starts kind of like, you know, Wookieing out various bits of information for those that understand Wookiee. But as like a lot of people are kind of like, you know, looking around like, I don't, do you understand what he's saying? And whatnot. Eventually, like the Wookiee just kind of like gets really frustrated, slams his hands down on the table with a very abrupt pound, you know, and like, you know, he looks over his shoulder and like this young adult male human like steps forward and basically starts like kind of like translating and kind of pulling the like advisor type role and going, well, you know, like nervous kid. I don't know, make sure I get names right because the Wookiee had Rayos. That's right. So he's like, the admirable and honorable Reyos, we can do, and he starts summing up the information, and gets cut off a couple times by the Wookiee trying to like exclaim and like emphasize certain moments and correct the kid and whatnot, because the kid kind of like, you know, he's stammering and nervous and whatnot. Again, kid but young adult. You know, it's that boundary for terminology.
Yeah.
So the Quasar Rider basically present, and they start saying, they don't say systems, they don't break down how much droids they could move and what amount of time. They basically just start saying, we can hit these targets, we can get droids in here, 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 and here, and that's their big sell. And they like, we can land this many droids at once at this location to hit this, you know, either like a manufacturing target for the HUD that would be directly HUD owned, maybe well, I mean, I guess a lot of it would be manufacturing. Maybe one of them is like a financial vault, like a bank system, and one of them is like or two of the targets would probably be actual HUD palaces that are not on Nal Hutta or on Nar Shaddaa. They're more like out and abroad. Not as abroad as Jabba the Hutt, because Jabba was all the way on Tatooine, which had no protection. Never mind. I'm not going to get into a rant about that, but I don't understand how he has a palace all the way out there and expects to have protection. But anyway, there's I know there's story and shit for all that stuff.
Yep.
But you know you get what I'm trying to say, though, right?
I got you. Yeah.
But yeah, they label some HUT targets they can hit within HUT space, but they're not on Nal Hutta or Nar Shaddaa. They're a little bit further out, like a little bit more, but still within HUT space. But they lay down targets.
Okay, so they've got coordinated plan. That's good.
Yeah, so they lay that out, and it gets the attention of Major Sill. Like he looks at how he was just looking at the table, you know, straight focus, dead eye, and then as they're laying down the targets, there's that type moment, you know, like he acknowledges what they're laying down. He's smelling what the Rock's cooking, basically. And
he's like, all right, these guys in business, good.
Yeah, and he hadn't done that with Elsdar. Elsdar was doing all the business, the numbers, and he just kept focused. But Weos's, you know, advisor presents this, and he gets recognized.
How much emphasis has been put on the subtlety of their operation so far? It sounded like the Quasar were going mostly over, we have the ability to do this, we have the ability to get to these places, we can move it bulk, we can move it fast.
Yeah.
Very good.
They don't. It's conveniently left out, that information.
Very good.
Yeah. So he gives that pause. I'll give you guys a chance if you want to do anything.
Kato for a moment looks like he's about to, but he holds the finger up again, kind of motion. You can just wait and watch.
Okay.
I think Lissy kind of leans in and is just like, I think this is going badly.
You're not wrong, kid.
He just like waves the finger in place.
Let Kato do his work.
And he's like, his smile has actually dropped away at this point. And he's got a look of just focus and determination. The car salesman's kind of attitude for display has faded out.
Is the finger you're holding up, is it like, is it like a frustrated, like shaking, like can't contain myself finger, or is it just,
No, it's very much, it's like, hold up, wait.
All right.
Stay back, don't make any sudden move. Kind of like you were in a pen, like, really weird example, but if you were in a pen full of gorillas, you would hold that up to your buddy next to you like, no.
Or Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park's more like...
Jurassic Park's more like, here you go, and you run away.
Well, I was thinking the moments with the T-Rex, but okay, we'll go with that.
I got it. That's our strategy. We remind them that droids find a way.
Right.
Now, droids
I miss
find
Goldblum.
a way.
He was always my favorite. A lot of people rag on him, but I love them. Anyways.
Oh, how could you?
I don't remember what else he's done, to be perfectly honest. But moving on, who
Independence
goes
Day.
next? Is it the Black Sun, or do the upstarts try to start getting squabbling for the spotlight?
I think a couple of them. I think there's a couple things that happen. So yeah, a couple upstarts try to present, and they come in, and the first one presents a bunch of rhetoric. They come in, they spout a bunch of stuff about how they have, you know, the passion and the know-how, and they'll get the, you know, don't worry about it, we'll handle all the details, but they don't really provide much of substance. They just kind of say, we'll hit important targets, but then don't specify what the targets are. So it's kind of fluff.
Yeah.
And they probably look decently presentable, and they say it very convincing. They don't stammer. They don't they don't, you know, pause and look hesitant. Like they come in selling it. Like they are faking it till they make it. They're really on point for that. But there's no, you know, numbers behind it. There's nothing of meaning.
Yeah.
The lists of targets that were given out beforehand. I'm sure we have that on our possession as well. But what were some of the examples on there for my own personal notes here?
For Baggots that you're representing, or for the Wyos with the Quasar Riders?
For the targets that the droids would be going to.
Well, that's what you're selling. That's what you're trying to convince the Republic of.
Oh, I thought you said like the Quasar Riders were naming these places.
Oh, yeah. That's what I was clarifying. Yeah. So you want what the Quasar Riders representing?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't actually have any specific names here, but they name two reasonably noted names for huts that they can hit. Not the hut that you have history with though, but there's two other huts that they can hit. They said they can hit the palace, like straight up at the thing, not like, you know, get them in the neighborhood and march up and protest in front of the front gate or something. They say they can hit into the palaces for these two locations, as well as, like I said, a financial area, so like a banking, commerce type section that would hit like basically infrastructure, and bunch of some solid manufacturing locations, like hut manufacturing. Not the huts have contracted some manufacturing. Like these are like handled directly by huts. You got that down?
Yeah.
Look,
Okay.
we got a real small crew. Do you think we could handle all that? We could maybe take one. We could take one of these big objectives.
Well, sorry, you're saying that to Kato?
Yeah.
Did you pick that from me?
Look, we can take one of the objectives. Doesn't necessarily have to be one of the ones the Quasar Riders are taking, but you know, we can assist in some way, or we can just take an objective for ourselves. But it's going to be dangerous work. And apart from myself, not many people are good with guns on here, so we gotta be careful.
We're not here to sell ourselves as the ones to deliver. We're here to sell baguette. But
I'll leave it to it.
We'll keep that in mind.
It's good to know what everybody's up to.
Kato nods in agreement with that point there.
So
I'll be right back. 2 seconds.
Sure.
Press on. Mason will be stone-faced, silent, peeking around, making sure nothing crazy is happening.
Sure.
And if something crazy is happening, he's gonna be like, "Cover, kid, go to cover. Kato, go cover. I'm going to cover. I've already left, actually." And it's just, anyways, I'll be right back.
Yep. Sure. Oh, so the right after the 1 hour one upstart group says all that rhetoric. A bunch of, again, fake it till you make it. What's up?
Did any of the rhetoric involve talk about the Republic, the greater good of the Republic, all that kind of stuff, or was it rhetoric specifically about we can do this, we're passionate, we got the drive?
It's more the latter, but they might have thrown in a we'll do what's best by the Republic type of thing, like in that kind of more of that business phrasing.
Did that get any kind of a rise out of Sil?
No, it didn't. It didn't much. He's returned his gaze back center after having given the regard to Wyos. They say that, and again, they'll try to fake it as they make it, but I think basically, without rolling, we'll just say they failed their charm check. So it didn't really register much. But Radon and Teals is another upstart, probably seated across from them. Basically interrupts and slanders the other upstart, and basically just calls out everything that they had said and whatnot, and just basically just trashing them. They're just like, you didn't say anything of meaning. What do you think this is? Like, you fucking amateurs here? Who brought the amateurs in? Hello, anybody? Why are amateurs here? Like the pot kettle type thing, right? Like,
oh, gotcha. Nice.
And he's just thrashing down on it. Like, you can sense some sort of rivalry between these two, like you have with the Quasars. Like, they have some sort of heated thing, and they're just like, it's just coming straight out. And Sil lets it go on for a little bit, but eventually he just he goes from the stern, arms crossed, and as they're going into some back and forth and just being very disruptive overall, he ends up doing the kind of the moment, and both sides just immediately just stop. They're like, oh shit, what so sorry, whoa, easy, we're civil, it's fine, as they're still staring lasers at each other. But they eventually calm down. After the pickup from that, another upstart group comes in, and there's a mixture of rhetoric at the start. So there's a little bit of a here we go again feel. But then it turns into, we can move this many droids this quickly in one go and hit. And they mention a Hutt palace that is the Hutt you have history with. The name I don't want to try to mispronounce again, because you make up the most difficult names.
The best names, thank you. Let me pull that name up for you here.
Yeah.
That is Mohawk Griselda to Opal.
Yeah, say it again for the stream, sorry.
The Hutt's name is Mohawk Griselda to Opal.
Yeah. So they can hit the Toopa.
Opal.
To Opal.
Like
to Opal. They say they can hit the Topal Palace on Nal Hutta. They don't mention any other targets. They just basically put down that they can go right to this target on Nal Hutta, which is, the Hutt homeworld. It's what Nar Shaddaa orbits. It's the world where the Hutts live. And no one's allowed, rarely ever allowed there, because Hutts do business by proxy through Nar Shaddaa. They do everything through their moon. They don't bring a lot of people on Nal Hutta. And this crew just goes, we can do that. And Major Sil gives them, turns and faces, gives them the recognition. They drop that name that they can just go, we can drop all of them here.
What is the name of this group?
Sorry?
What was the name of this group?
They're just the points. It's still just random upstarts.
I'll put them down as random upstarts.
We can give them a name. We need to come up with something for them. That way we can distinguish them. That's fine.
The space jockeys.
I like jockeys. That's kind of fun. We'll do the Kessel jockeys.
That's cool. We like that.
That's how you
Can't
improv.
believe you didn't go with Durayakis.
Dura jockeys. Not to be confused with. But yeah, the Kessel.
The meme will never die.
Right? So we'll do Kessel jockeys. That to me sounds fine. And at the table, there is kind of that shock, sort of, because Quasar Riders haven't mentioned this as a target. That's not on their platform that they're trying to put a bid into. The Cray Cabal didn't mention anything. Remember that business, numbers, included a bunch of sectors, but no real key targets. You got the rhetoric and the stuff, but they're basically forgettable at this point already. But then, out of nowhere, these jockey guys lay down that, and probably even the Black Sun person who's sitting at the table stops from putting together this like thing they're doing on a data pad, and also kind of like does that really kind of like, what the fuck?
Yeah, who the hell are these guys to be pulling that, eh?
Yeah. It's like a record screech moment from, like, if you're familiar with it, with the big records, and then you screech it on the turntable.
Oh, yeah.
Everything, record screech, everything stands still. It starts to zoom in on Major Sill. Yep, that's me. I bet you're wondering how I got in this position. Well, the column started 20 years ago.
Right?
It's kind of funny. Live big, laugh big, love big.
And then goes
That's
on
the way it is, man.
some convoluted story. It turns into basically the Goodfellas of Star Wars. Anyways.
I love that idea.
So yeah, again, I'll give you guys a moment if there's anything you want to in between this with that revelation or that announcement.
Like that gets Cater's attention as well. But he isn't going to step.
While you're thinking, I think
He's not going to step in just yet.
I think one of the upstart groups maybe they were next, and they get up and they leave. They're like not going to follow that act, basically. That's one of those.
Yeah.
Those are one of those like mic drop moments at like a comedy club, and if you're the guy following that up, you're just like, I don't want to go on stage. Can someone else go? I'm not. No.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a concern of Cater's right now. It's like this moment, like twitch in his face of, did I wait too long? Did I misplay pair?
Fair.
But he's
When
he's holding for him. He's holding for him.
When they say they're going to take Nahara, Mason looks at them and sizes them up. Do they look like a bunch of dudes with lots of good tech and everything?
Let's see another. Let's see a streetwise roll, since this is more about the underworld. You're sizing them up and seeing.
Sure.
I want to assist that again with the same kind of idea as last
Sure.
time.
Is it 3 purple still?
Yeah, I think this will be a bit difficult because I don't think you have any previous knowledge of them, so you're judging a book by its cover, and wow, you can't read that cover at all.
Nope, I can't tell.
It's a lot of advantage, though.
It is a lot
Like,
of advantage.
wow. Wow.
You're not able to get a good impression of them or their op. You can't judge them. They look generic. They got weapons. They got stuff. They're almost as straightforward as you guys basically are, kind of, except for you got the Twi'lek girl trying to mean face, and she can't sell that worth, her life.
So they have a Twi'lek too, do they?
No.
Oh.
No, it's
No,
aside,
that's our
Oh, our Twi'lek.
aside from, yeah. So you can't get a size up very well of it. The advantage is, because people fairly well. You're not quite as social or whatnot as Kato is, dealing with business stuff in and out. But you have because of war times especially and whatnot, you still have a lot of important interactions with people, and you can tell when someone is convinced. Like they're not faking it, they're making it. They saying it with conviction that they can do this. Like, that thing where they know what they're saying to be true.
All right, so when they say that, there's a like, oh really? Look on Mason's face, like, the fuck do you think you're saying? He looks over, looks at them, genuinely can't get a read on them, and he goes, guess so. Like, his face went from like pure mockery to like, maybe they could do it.
Okay, fair. So, I think we'll jump back for a moment to Nard, give him a fair chance since we've had now a bit. What is Nard doing on this ship?
Well, I was getting our pro unit because I needed to hack into this station's computer to get those rumors about Imperial space kids recruiting things.
Oh.
See if there were any truth to that.
Right. Wouldn't have been Imperial, was the Huts that Dars mentioned. But if you can want to do Imperials too, but it's up to you. So you want to look up to see if there's any fishing to be done on that fact?
Yeah, because it was scary rumors.
Sure.
And I didn't want that to be a thing.
Fair. So basically just doing like any particular approach, or I assume it's just you're surfing the holonet for...
Yeah, local net, I guess. The space station net. That's where I want to get in.
Oh, not your ship, so you're trying to find a spot on the base to do it?
Yeah, of course, because our ship wouldn't have any access to that unless we hacked in anyway.
Okay.
So I'm just getting the PRO unit to help me splice into their computers.
I don't know if anything will come up, but we'll do a stealth roll to see if this may become a complication. So there wouldn't be a public like holonet room per se. It's not like it's at the Neon where there's like that holonet cafe. So it's kind of
no. Finding a place to jack in is pretty hard, but I thought everybody was kind of up doing their meeting stuff. So that's why I did the thing.
All right, so you do it. That's fine. One success, 3 threat. So you do it. I think the threat will be is that the Quasar Rider positioning starts to shift a little bit from like, because there's like the big lump in the meeting room and then there's a big lump in the landing room, and some of the landing room ones are starting to array into the hallways between the two and kind of set up like spaced out positioning. But you slip into...
Yeah, I'm not getting out of this easy if a firefight becomes a thing. Okay.
So yeah, but you get in there, you can get access to a computer, you've snuck in, you big lumbering oaf you, and yeah, you can jack in. And so basically like a computer's role.
Yeah, now I'm searching for information, looking for confirmation to those rumors that we heard, and see what we can get.
Sure. Well, actually, I was gonna make it roll another Roll another purple for me. Although it won't really matter, you'll succeed anyways. But see if there's
Yeah, I can get even more threat, I guess.
potentially. All right, turns out you get more threat. So a bunch of successes and a crit. So the rumors are definitely spread around a lot. They're definitely becoming very common. Unfortunately, maybe what's wrong. It's hard to tell if it's unfortunate or not. But there's a lot of spread about this rumor that, actually, it's not just the huts. It's one of those things that you get the sense of looking through, like digging up through underworld forums, message boards, underworld Reddit. I don't know. But you get the sense looking through those types of communication platforms that it's not just the huts. Like, the Empire is on the back foot. They don't have this iron fist control over the galaxy. And one of the big platforms that, especially, huts and, depending on how veteran you are as Underworld, that there was always a thing against special people. People that can sense weird things, do weird things, and whatnot. And they're always, like, the Empire is always known for going after them. You'll be having a peaceful conversation. You'll be doing all this criminal business, and stormtroopers will show up, and they only go after this one random person. They don't give a shit about all the drug deals and all the stuff going on. They funnel out these random individuals, and it's just become like a common thing. And again, if you've been around long enough, a lot of veterans know that they're going after special people. But with the Emperor dead, Death Star gone, big bunch of their fleet gone, they're on the back foot, the rebels are turning into a republic. They don't have that control anymore, or resources to go out hunting for individuals. So now there's this free market of anybody can now get their hands on these people and either convince them, buy them, or train them to do what they want. And then they can put those special people to use to their goals. So it's not just the hut, it's probably the Black Sun's in it, but there's maybe nothing confirmed. It's even civilian factions, even they're more like just offering a warm home and stuff like that. But it's still ultimately like, hey, can you come here and protect our way of life or whatever, and we'll give you blah blah blah. Like, sometimes it's as subtle, as nice as that, but then other places it's we're trying to group them up in places where we can take them and make them ours. And then on the same level, there's now the pushback from that. There's the counterculture of that, because a lot of people are like, no, leave these people alone. Like, they're just still normal people. They just want to live their life. They're not your weapon. They're not your special task force. They're not your protectors. They're people. So you get a lot of, nicer groups of people, I'm gonna say orphanages, but I'm trying to think retreats and refugee type moments of people trying to take in these special people that give them shelter away from everyone else that's basically trying to get their hands on them and make them do what they want, and try to because no one really fully knows how these special people work. They just expect that if we get a hold of them, they'll just do stuff that we want. So now it's like it's basically a new commodity, because the Empire snuffed it out and had control of it, and now it's a commodity and a part of the underworld culture that's new and fantastic, and everyone's excited about it, and everyone's trying to get their hands in on it. And probably, I think the triumph will be is that even the Republic are trying to get in on this as well. Like, the only one who doesn't want these special people is the Empire. Everyone else wants to partner up and get involved in this stuff, in these people's lives.
It's the biggest thing than I ever thought it would be, and everybody wants a piece of it. But right now, it seems like the huts are leading the gathering of them all, I guess. Others are doing it too, but the huts are doing the best right now.
They're the current top of having the resources to be able to do something like this.
Yeah, and then the actual selling of everybody, it seems like a slave trade still, somewhat, which is fair. But that even the New Republic would be able to buy them, I guess. Okay. Still didn't give me anything of note. Just gives me a lot of stress, I feel.
Sure, if you want, it can be very, very, yeah, very stressful to hear all this news and have this realization of this type of thing. It's not necessarily a trade like for profit. Again, some of these people actually want these for private armies and stuff. They want to like have the special of special forces to deal with their enemies, you know.
Yeah, but are any of them? I mean, force sensitive things have always been a thing, but it's more of the Jedi or Sith beliefs, right? Nowhere I can find anywhere information about the triumph. I would like to use for finding who would be able to train such an army in that case.
Sure.
Especially now that there are no Jedi and Sith anymore.
Fair. You can try rolling again if you want to try to see.
Delve diving now.
Yeah, it's deeper diving for something very specific, or you can sit and simmer on that a bit if you want. We'll come back to you.
I mean, I got the confirmations from it all. Yeah, it stressed me out. Yep.
Nope. So
Yeah, that's what I'm doing, I guess. But there's a meeting going on. Do what I must.
sure. Well, actually, is there any like when you get this realization, is there any noticeable reaction or thought from Nard about this information as you digest it or start to?
It will be very apparent when I talk with others.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so back in the meeting room then. So Kato, you get, well, you end up getting 2 data pads. One is just from your immediate right, just like a couple spots down from one of the upstarts, and it's basically it's a message that's like, hey, I noticed you got that that young attractive Twi'lek there, man, what a great find. Would you be interested in parting ways with her? I need more stuff like that in my life. Here's, I can give you, and it's probably like 15,000 credits for her. What do you say?
So wipe left.
So you just push the data pad aside or anything?
Yeah, just completely remove the offer from his presence. And as he does so, he's going to so this was a data pad pushed over his way, right?
Yeah, it was passed along the couple spots over to you.
So he's going to do a thing where he puts his hand on it, slides it up, and stands up at the same time.
Okay.
Majasi, bulk ability will only get you so far in a mission like this. The key to this job is subtlety, not only for the hired hands involved, but for the Republic's ties to this mission. What you need is not a smuggler like I or my crew. What you need is a distributor. Someone who is able to move the droids where you need, above all, quietly. The client I represent has 2 boons to offer towards this. First and foremost, he has the deep background in working with droids. So as modifications to blend into the destinations are needed, they will pass through as few hands as possible. The second boon is a network of contacts across Hutt space. Narshada, Narkaga, Slaheron, Klaatuin, Saki, Nimban, Val, and with a little bit of string pulling, even Nalhutta, are all within reach. Not by smugglers, but by the trade routes of the Hutts already boast. Traveling under the radar draws attention in the underworld, where all business happens there. But use the Hutt's official channels, and they will trip over their own tails as they try to figure out where these menaces came from.
Fucking A, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Let's see the well, you didn't lay down any specific numbers, so I think we're starting with a charm check. And we'll see, the difficulty will be
Got that part.
It will be 1 purple, 1 red.
I can take that.
Oh, and a black, because I think we have a moment where Wyo is just like, as you're standing there proud and presenting this stuff, and he just kind of spouts in the Wookiee growl and word for more rhetoric from the peanut gallery, basically.
Point. Any kind of assist dice.
No, I can't think of anything at the moment.
So be it. I'm going to use our force point.
Okay. Flip the
That's
dark.
going to use one of our light side points here, right?
Yep. And you get it.
So I click use light side.
Yep.
Yes.
And I hit one. I hit the upgrade one, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Make sure you click out of the box before you roll.
Yep. Thank you. Charm, you said, correct?
Yep. Your build. Yep. Wow.
Roll well. No. No.
Wow.
God damn.
Can you give him like a fucking bonus for the fucking RP he just did, man? Come on. That was sick.
No. Sometimes the dice are just don't want to be agreeing with you.
Here's what I would like to do. I'd like to cash in that advantage to hold the Major's attention. I don't sway him here. But now I can start listing off some numbers based on what Baggett gave us.
Okay, fair. I think that's a fine advantage situation. He's not really turned to you. He didn't give you that recognition like the other two groups have, but he doesn't like dismiss you either. Like, you kind of have that soapbox for a moment.
Let me see here.
Champion.
Yeah. And Cato will then start working off the numbers, some specifics perhaps about how he has ties in with the with trade throughout Hutt space. Probably will avoid the name drop though, playing into that like subtlety angle he was going with beforehand. Like he'll use raw numbers, but try to keep identifiers out of it.
Yeah. As a little bit of extra flavor, you notice that Baggett has because Baggett has laid out a lot of detail of what he can do for his bid, and perhaps annoyingly so, like one of the people listed as like a mover for the shipment of droids is like your guys' name. Like, he's put like the crew of the Remembrance in there. It never came up in conversation or anything like that. You just basically, you just, in his documentation, you were volunteered. Just so you know.
Yeah.
But you go through some numbers, you present some of the information, right?
Yeah, no, I'm trying to think of like a nice range of numbers here.
We haven't talked specifics, so we don't need to start, but, do you, like, present what Baggett has proposed, or do you fluff the numbers, or undersell the numbers?
I give what Baggett has proposed, but I then also throw in what that means in terms of I give them as Baggett proposed.
Right.
But I contrast those with the like a cost benefit analysis, essentially.
Okay.
It costs this because and avoids so and so. So it's like
Okay.
fluffing the number, but it's
all right.
Okay, let's just go specific here. It'd be 500 credits to move it to Nar Shaddaa. Moving that might be 300 more than you would be willing to pay for a single smuggler cruise. Just move them to that location. But what that does avoid is a number of security checks along the way.
Okay.
Security checks that cost crews significant amounts to get through, could result in potential dropping of cargo. That's a big one I think comes up. Where smugglers might have to eject their cargo in a bad situation, the chances of a official Hut transport carrier doing so are vastly overestimated. So, assuming that they pay 300 to move the cargo from assuming they pay the 300 to move the cargo by the smugglers versus the 500 to move it by the official transport, they're probably still going to be saving somewhere at the range of 1,200 credits just on lost shipments should anything go south. Even in just 4 cases, that's a lot of money that they've thrown down the drain for nothing. That either the smugglers will not be paid and will perhaps break contract for that. He says, he kind of glancing over at the Quasar Riders as he does.
Ooh.
Or you, having front paid them, will simply never see the benefits.
Okay. All right. Yeah, let's see. You can get a blue for the negotiation roll this time.
Yeah, hold on. I think I have a thing for that too. Let me Yes. I have this ability as well for smooth talker. I'm just gonna post that into the chat right there.
When making checks with that skill, spend triumphs to gain additional successes equal to ranks in smooth talker. Alright, how many ranks in smooth talker do you have?
2.
2. So you can spend up to if you get a triumph, you can get up to 2 more successes. So basically a triumph would be 3 successes.
Yes.
Damn.
Yeah. So
purple
and a red. I am gonna throw the world against you.
All right, so I got to upgrade the difficulty on my end here.
On the dark side, yeah.
Clicked out of it, so it's fair.
So now that should do it. Purple and red base. Wiles doesn't say anything immediately. You can tell that there's some words on the edge of his furry lips, but nothing's actually like come out yet. So you'll get the roll without interference for the moment. Anything else you can think of that would affect this positively or negatively?
I have maybe one more idea, but I don't think so.
Okay.
No, something else entirely there.
All right.
All right, here I go again. Where's my negotiation this time, correct?
Yeah, because you're laying down the deal, like actual business. You're not, because to be fair, your charm was a lot of rhetoric, so that's why it was more of a charm check, because you were.
Yeah, no, shit. I cut myself off too early there. Oh well.
It happens.
All right, here we go.
It happens. Wow. All right. There you go.
Wow.
Straight success. No extra.
That is. So, for the importance of this roll, that roll is amazingly underwhelming. It is literally just a single success.
Yeah.
But I will take it.
Yeah. So yeah, you say that, you lay out the numbers, and you get the moment from Major Sill. You now basically have put yourself in like the now there's like the three contenders that basically have presented into his view. So yeah, you're in it still. But Wyos does come out with his jab about, you know, he spouts a bunch of Wookiee growl and yells that he just goes before his advisor can translate or keep it going or do his side of the job. But Wyos basically comes out saying that like you shouldn't pay attention to them. They get in over their head. They steal stuff that isn't theirs and don't know what to do with it. Basically, they just like come straight out and call you out after Syl kind of turns and, you know, gives you a look.
Kato is going to like turn his head to look at them. Then turn his head away and just calmly sit back down.
All right. Fair enough. Yeah, and then I think Elsdar ends up he getting a little bit agitated because he's feeling I think the pressure of not being recognized, right? Like his thing just kind of went over the whole thing. And I think he kind of, you know, he does the kind of lean forward in the table, and he comes out saying, you know, I think, Wyos, that maybe you're spending a little time too caught up in your new bed partner than to understand what's really going on around this galaxy. And yeah, you get a really interesting vibe when he says bed partner, because you don't think he means it literally. But he leaves that comment there, and there's a couple people that kind of do the, why? Who are they working with now? You know who they're working with? Like you hear, like there's that little like low whisper buzz in the room when he makes that kind of moment. And Wyos just kind of, you know, he sits back a little. He kind of pauses from more berating you guys and kind of like halts and pauses and kind of sinks quiet. And then I think for the next, like, you know, 10-20 minutes, there's a bunch of, we'll go through, like, there's probably like half a dozen upstarts that get their chance and various different sales pitches and whatnot. None of them get any recognition from Syl, but it's some interesting variety. Sometimes some interesting, what you thought maybe was an interesting mic drop moment or something that was a bombshell, and you look over to the Major and he hasn't budged. He's still dead ahead. Much to the, you know, the weight that kind of comes down on those upstarts every time they present and they sit down proudly and then see that no reaction came their way, and it's like, you know, you can see them kind of like, you know, kicking themselves in the back and or in the butt for things. Some of their offers, as I said, weren't too bad, but maybe they just, you're not sure what it was that's just not getting a reaction. Because again, some of them come out kind of swinging. Some they're not, they're amateurs. They're, you know, probably shouldn't be here, but they're putting on a good show and good effort for it, you know. And I think during that time, as they're droning on and on, you know, to varying degrees of business, or varying degrees of rhetoric, or passionate speeches and whatever, I think that's when you get the second data pad that was supposed to come your way. Pass a little further along, more further to your right and down the table, that finally kind of comes forward, and it's a it's a message that very kind of business and politely, Mr. Huam, I recognize you from this and this situation of like business deals and stuff like that. You've done very well for yourself. It's nice to see faces of people that actually get jobs done and kind of, as much as they may not always be, as much as they may be in over their head sometimes, you ride the wave really well. I do hope that in some point in the future, maybe we could look at some more directed business ventures. There's a lot that can be done in this galaxy if you're, willing to go out and do it. To that end, though, I must admit that, your being here, representing someone, I'm sure, doesn't work too well to what we need. And in exchange for you to step down and politely remove yourself from this open table, I propose I can give you this, and it gives you a schematic for a new ship. And it's a pretty expensive ship. And it just goes, this can be yours, you just need to walk away.
How expensive are we talking?
I'm thinking it's probably like well, I mean, your ship is like I think we have it as like
Our ship's a freighter.
It's like an $80,000 freighter ship. I think it's like yeah. I think they're proposing it's not a freighter, but it is a still relatively smallerish vessel. But I think it's somewhere that topples into like a good couple $100,000. So probably like 4 or so times the new sell value of your ship.
What type of ship is it?
I actually forgot to prep that part earlier. I had it in my head for an idea, but I don't actually have the actual ship. I can try to pull it up. It might take me a little bit though. But it would be.
I'm curious to see what it would be.
What?
Though.
But it shows a picture of it. Whatever I end up putting here, that's placeholder. There's an image there.
Placeholder image? And where did you say that image was?
It's a placeholder. Like there's something there, even though I don't have a thing to say what it is. But there is an image there.
Okay. Okay, on the data pad.
If you want, yeah, we can. This is just about break time. If you want, we can take a break and I can try to conjure something up.
Yeah, no, I can use a little bit of a moment here to think myself.
All right, fair enough. So we will take a break here, folks. It's gonna be about 10 minutes or so. Stick with us. We'll be back for the second half of Ashes in just a little bit. Welcome back to the second half of Star Wars Ashes, episode 11, Heir to the Salt, as we have our salt theme. So you were presented with the image of a ship. I'll put it here on stream. It looks like this. It is a C-ROC Gozanti class light cruiser. That is the image that was presented on the data pad from your right.
What are the stats on a ship like that? Is it a cruiser?
Would you know that information?
Well, you said it had the schematics for it.
Well, it had like the schematics like just the general look of the ship, basically, like
okay.
not broken down in terms of numbers, but like here is a ship, and it's not in glorified artistic picture like what I presented you. It's
I assume like blueprints.
not necessarily that as specific so much as like a quick blueprint light.
Okay. Kato probably stares at it for a good few minutes.
Okay.
Like, just eyes are wide. Fingers like tapping the side of the data pad.
You could roll a knowledge warfare.
That is a good point. There are dice for these sort of thing.
Or education. Education will be a little bit harder. This is more of a well, no, they're probably about equal. It's a ship. So either or, warfare or education.
Got two either way. I'll go with the education one. I think that fits Cato's particular background for this sort of thing is just a little bit better.
Okay. We'll do 2 purple. I don't know if we'll say this is overly difficult. We're not gonna make it a huge chore to see if you know or not. Okay. So, what I'll do is I'll get might be a little different.
So for the audience, oh, hello.
Yeah. So you basically get that info. That's what you know offhand. We're not going to necessarily give it to the stream because it's up to you to decide what you do with that in terms of whether it's communicated or not. But that's the stats. Hopefully that's it should be. It looks like it's visible to me. Basically, it's a small.
It's a big boy.
It is a light cruiser. It is on the relatively smaller side. It's not a big, giant, lumbering thing. But it's still pretty significant. It's still a light cruiser. It's not a freighter. It's not a what would be the next step up from freighter that you usually would see? It's not like a Corvette, I guess, like the Corellian Corvette. Actually, I don't know where this scales on the Corellian Corvette side. Yeah, that part's kind of tricky. It's silhouette 5, and I think your ship is 3. What is the remembrance of silhouette character sheet here? Silhouette 4, so it's 1 silhouette higher. So again, it's not ginormous, but it is noticeably bigger. Has more armaments, has more capacity, has relatively a crew, or will need a bit of a crew. Faster. It's a noticeable upgrade. Again, bottom line, it is a noticeable upgrade. And it's a little on the rare side too. Rarity 8. So it's not the most common thing. It's a lean, tough ship.
Pretty big step up from us.
It would be. And Kato knows that as well. He starts running over the numbers in his head, what this could actually do for the the entire operation.
Right. And to be clear, so what's basically being asked is that you're being asked to not go through with any deal with the rebels or the Republic, and basically go against Baggett, but you get shiny ship.
We do.
Yes,
We do. And
so as the people going around the table continue, while you're lulling this over, actually, do you? Well, before we get to as the continue around the table, do you present any of this to Mason or anything? Because I mean, Mason's and Lissy are over your shoulder still, so they can see that you have this data pad, like it's in your hand.
Yeah, he's not going to try and hide it either. If either of them glance over, they're going to see what it looks like.
Yeah.
Hey, what you looking at over there?
He like kind of pulls back a little and kind of shoves it your way so you get a better picture.
I don't. I see. What? Okay. Oh man. I don't know. Don't get me wrong, I really like our ship, Kato, but that's a lot bigger and better. And don't get me wrong, hey, Baggett, great guy. Trust him with my life, you know? But end of the day, I don't know, man.
If we took this offer, we would be able to move 3 times the cargo we do now. We would be able to expand our operation out. We'd have to hire more people.
Yes.
But we don't have to give up our other ship either. We will go from a single operation to something more along the lines of the Quasar Riders.
No, that's an interesting thought, isn't it? We need a little more money for it, though.
It would increase, but
all for sitting one out.
It's a lot more than 3 times
So-
what you could carry, by the way.
yeah,
So-
no, I
Kato, here's the thing. Baggett sent us. So if we're going to back out of this, we'd have to make him believe that they just weren't interested in what he had to offer. But that's going to be real difficult, because Baggett's got a lot of shit. Is it even possible? Are we just going to get the ship and then we're fucked? You know? Or do we get the ship and then... I mean, will we have to take out Baggett? You know?
dude who kind of returns to hunching over the data pad a bit. Now, here's a question I forgot to ask Zhao. Where did this originate from?
I don't know if you were paying attention. It came from your right.
I'm sorry?
Sorry, tried to eat air for a second there. That was real great.
It's pretty tasty.
Okay.
Very cool.
I guess you would know by deduction, right? So it came from your right, and the only things to your right, besides like a dozen upstart crews, is the formal noble suit looking Black Sun.
Just had to be those guys, didn't it?
Knew it.
Do we take deals from scum? The scum that we just talked your friend out of joining.
That would be funny.
The situation is, like, do you actually say that to him? Or
Oh yeah. Yeah, Mason would whisper that to you.
situation's different. He's gonna pick up the data pad and like look over at the black sun.
There, maybe one of the people over the shoulders of the person sitting acknowledges you, but they're basically like next in line after this one upstart crew is talking. So the person who's sitting is kind of getting ready for their presentation. But one of the advisors kind of does the nod type thing to you, and then
Kato, wait.
okay.
She looks away from him at that point, right?
Yeah, they were.
Or does she like
they were-
keep her eyes on him, waiting for like see what he does next?
No, they do the nod, and then they return their view straight ahead to where they're looking. I think at this point they're probably pretty close. Maybe not perfectly center, but they're pretty close to the other end of the table, so they have pretty much almost like a counter look right towards Major Sill, more or less. A little off center, but they're pretty much in that type of spot on the table. So they, they're waiting their turn. Meet hands, kind of. The person who's sitting probably has the whole folded hands on the table, very proper and mannered, and not like most of the other people at the table. And if you want time to think about it, I'll continue.
No.
No?
You said they were virtually next in line, correct?
Yeah.
There's like one, maybe two ahead of them.
Yeah. Maybe like one ahead of them at this point. They're coming up on their turn.
Kato types his response in and passes it on to the group to his right. Or would be left. Which way would be quick? Which way is quicker here?
The right. It came from your right, so you'll continue. You'll put it back. To
Okay,
it.
right. It came from my right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
So he's going to pass that back over in that direction, saying, and tell that crew, essentially, move this with urgency. I want them to get it as soon as possible.
Okay. They're not thrilled for being messenger boy, because now this is the second pad that came their way toward the left to you, and now you're sending something back. So now they're like, yeah. All right, bud. Got nothing else better to do. But they do it.
That's right. Don't.
Yeah, yeah. Fair enough.
Now, the full kind of cinematic effects I kind of want to happen here.
Okay. Do you want the message sent to me, or are you gonna, it's up to you if you want that public or private.
It's a good question. But yeah.
Okay.
Let's test your description skills here. Is that correct?
Well, we know I'm gonna fail that. Good luck with that. When the devil's bargain backfires. But the next app starts, get going, state their business. Again, kind of not bad. Okay. They get their spiel out. It's generic-ish, sort of. Again, it's that whole, like, you know, a little bit more surprising that they're actually prepared for this, but the numbers don't pan out very well. Maybe, you know, they're bottlenecked too much somewhere. They'd have to subcontract too much shit for it to be useful.
The Black Sun or the group before them?
The group before them.
Oh.
Major Sill seems to be very, you know, very set on. Well, you're getting the impression he's set on people that can do it themselves. Not if they have to rely on outsourcing. Not so great. Because remember, again, that one group that got that record screech, the jockeys, they said they would be able to drop on that one palace. Not, we can get some guys that know a guy that can can hook us up with this person over whose cousin is a, you know, it's not like, you know, going through one of those Ant-Man moments in the Ant-Man movies where the guy's retelling the story of someone retelling the story of someone retelling, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's as much as that's hilarious. I love the Ant-Man movies, don't get me wrong, but it's not one of those moments. It's you know. So yeah, that's what sticks out the most when you say you're going to do something, right? So upstarts, you know, don't do too much. Sure enough, the Black Sun, you know, get their chance. They stand up. Some groups have stood up, some have just sat. They stand up, like you did, and they start going on their thing. And it's a mixture of Dars, Elsdar, with the politeness and the well-mannered and thank you for having us and such not, similar to the message you got from them on the data pad, you know, all the pleasantries and whatnot. They get into some numbers and business, but they seem to have layered in the more tangible parts of things, where they can drop, what they can hit. Some of it's generic, some of it's just, you know, this sector. But then they start getting into, we can start doing this, and a lot of their stuff is on, that they mention for targets and places and stuff, is Nar Shaddaa. Most, like, theirs is heavily focused on Nar Shaddaa. They can do some other stuff around in hut space, lightly here and there, but they don't really, either they don't want to focus on it, or they just don't try selling the rest of the spot. They go in on Nar Shaddaa. They keep bringing up Nar Shaddaa. We can hit here. We can get things constantly in, even out if it needs to be. We can move and distribute. If plans are different, we can adapt. We can change. Just, you know, nothing's rigid. Nothing's set in stone. We can get all these spots. Nalhada never comes up in it. They don't try to, for better phrasing that comes to mind, they don't try to big dick it. But their platform is really well proposed together. And of course, when the datapad returns and they're maybe finalizing and kind of getting into their final statements, as if this is like a court case or something, and they're trying to put all their the presentation together, the datapad comes together and they do the type expression, and then they go, and then just to reassure you, blah 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 blah, and then they sit down, hands folded, and you know, the person sitting kind of looks over their shoulder and points to the data pad, and you can see the kind of disappointment that comes across the face of the three of them. They seem actually genuinely bothered, not angry or anything. There's actually this kind of wow, this is really unfortunate, this really sucks.
Why do I feel like just turned down Oprah's offer of a free car?
Could you imagine if someone did that in the stand and just be like, I got 10 cars already, Oprah, I don't need another one, and it's there. Wait, my car is not good enough for you?
I want to be that guy now.
I would love to be that guy.
Right. So that's what you get. That's the expression that you get if you're looked over studying them, basically.
Kiddo.
Big Nautilin teethy grin. Yeah. And Major Sill gives the Black Sun an acknowledgement. He seems to like what they said. It's not really there's no bombshells, no mic drops, nothing like that. But what they've benefited from being this far down the line from everyone else's presentations, that they indeed adapted and presented proper compared to everyone else. Like poor Elsdar, he basically went first and he just kind of took a kicking for it because like he just assumed he knew what was being looked for, and then it's unraveled 15 spots down the row.
You mentioned that a few groups had already left. Was one of those groups that left the Kessel jockeys? Or are they still hanging out?
Nope. No, there was a couple groups that left after the Kessel jockeys dropped their big dick moment.
Oh right, they were the blood drop. Right.
They were the reason why a couple of them just got up and were like, we can't compete with that. We're not going on the stage after that show, type thing.
Right.
Stage right.
Yeah. So, and now it's and then eventually kind of a few more upstarts come around. It gets not really back to you because you kind of intervened and interjected yours earlier. So it kind of like person right next to you, they do theirs, and then it just moves over to the person to your left, basically, and they kind of finish up. And yeah, it kind of goes around the table, and the Republic Major Sill kind of takes it all in, kind of, well, I guess some of you came prepared, and some of you are, I don't know, still lost in the asteroid field or something. Tough luck, huh? I guess that's just how the cookie crumbles around here. Well, and he starts pointing, it's like, you, and you can stay. The rest of you, enjoy the fun out there, I suppose. I'll be back in a little bit. And he gets up and his little armed entourage goes and leaves the way they came. And
did he point at us?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, he pointed at Quasar Riders, you, Black Sun, the Big Dickers, and
that's their new name, the Big Dickers.
That's what the jockeys are for.
Yep.
And yeah, I guess maybe like one other. No, we'll just say the four of you. I think it's just better if it's just like the final contestants are the four of you. And yeah, and then he leaves the room, the doors close behind him, and the room kind of, finally starts to pick up with some buzzing and conversation throughout the table as a bunch of upstarts are just like, fucking knew it. Man, you, and they're like, ribbing each other for shortcomings and this or that, and the two sides that were the other rival group that happened earlier, they kind of get rowdy and shouting at each other from across the table, as eventually they kind of start filtering out back towards the landing pad in due time. But yeah, you're all kind of left there with a break.
Mason leans down to Lyseek and says, "This is why Cato does the talking.
He's really
observe. I hope you learned something.
He's really good at it. I didn't think we were gonna get pointed at though. I don't know, like what?
Cato has his ways. So, like, look, I'm pretty good at talking, but I can hold a conversation with most people. Cato can make people like him. that is a talent that he will have to teach you.
Where did he get that speech from? That was really good.
I assure you it came directly from his own mind.
Really? Wow. Oh, I'm supposed to be looking tough.
Yeah. There you go, kid.
Cato is going to stand up, put a hand on Mason's shoulder as he passes, and say, "Entertain anyone who comes this way."
Yeah, that's my specialty.
He's gonna make his way over towards the castle jockey.
Okay. They're sitting there. They're, having some jokes and humor amongst each other, whatnot, not paying too much much attention to anybody else. They're like almost trying to avoid direct eye contact with any of the other groups in a way. Like they don't want to either acknowledge that the others sucked at their presentation or anything else. So they're just kind of, in their like little group of like say 4.
And he's gonna walk up to them, like a half smile on his face. I don't know any of their names, do I?
I don't think so. You didn't know them before. I don't think you knew anything about them beforehand.
Do I know their? Does Kato actually even know the group's name?
Where did we determine that? Was it Mason's role?
Yeah, they presented their idea, right?
Yeah, they would have said their name when they presented their idea, right? That they're putting their label on it. So yeah, you know their group's name, sure. Maybe the leader gave them his name,
Castle jockey.
Oh, hello there. How's it going? What can we do for you?
So, what is like the makeup of their crew, actually?
A pretty stern, athletically built woman, probably with a couple blades on her side. Arms crossed, seems kind of enforcerish, kind of has like a cat suit type of thing for maneuverability and whatnot. Probably what race would she be? Togruta, I think, would be a fine one. And then Togruta, a Clatunian who doesn't look that well. He's sort of armed, but he has like a rifle or something, but he's not like, tripped out or anything. He seems really modestly armed. He'd be like, I guess technically Mason, because Mason doesn't necessarily look very armed aside. Like, he has 2 pistols, but he does just a trench coat, which doesn't necessarily, like, you don't look at him and see soldier, you know what I mean? Like, he's just casually armed, right? And then someone who seems like, has like a bunch of data pads, or not a bunch, but like a couple data pads on them. Maybe some other tech gear for like a backpack type of thing. Like, they're the whatever mechanic, rigger, something along those lines. Probably just a human. And then the man himself, should be, what do we have for women around? Okay, we'll probably do a woman. We'll do a female Faline. That actually is the one that's talking with you. And
She's gonna present herself as the leader, or?
Yeah, she's the one sitting down. Just trying to find one I like. Yeah, so she presents herself as, actually I'll put it over here. She presents herself as Della. How's it going? Della.
Kato was impressed by your speech there. Not many can make an offer to get into Nalhut itself.
It definitely seems that way, doesn't it? No one else really managed to properly equal out didn't seem to equal out on making the most of this opportunity. A lot of them are stuck in the trenches, I think. And she kind of does this like little cocky smirk.
The hut you named, to open. You said you would deliver to his palace, specifically.
Oh, yes. Yes. It's amazing how overconfident some of them are.
Yeah, that is true enough. How did you plan on getting past the calf house?
I mean, do you really think we'd tell our secrets? It's kind of a bit of for us to know, and well, I don't think about anybody finding out, but I mean, perhaps someday, secrets can be shared. Sure, at some point you'll have something interesting for us to know.
Perhaps. One of those secret things to know would be how to get past the calf. And of course, getting past the Gale Beast afterwards.
You seem really skeptical of us.
The Opal likes his security. Particularly of the kind that doesn't really think about what it killed. Of course, he has the Gamorreans, Tatooines, all throughout his little sanctuary there.
Topol's very interested in fear tactics, though, when it really comes down to it, don't you think?
He likes to make sure those who cross him are made an example.
That happens. That's true.
I once saw what he did to a Nemoidian who, as Nemoidians tend to do, tried to swindle him out of what had been, before that, a fair trade negotiation. It was a matter of 3 tons of spice that had been delivered to to Opal's possession. Unfortunately, when the time came for the delivery to be made, the Moidian apparently had misplaced half of it. Now, what the Nemoidian didn't know is Opal had already found out that he had found a buyer in Tatupa, the Large, willing to pay twice as much on the condition that no one ever found out about the deal. The Morty was hanged by his feet from the side of the palace and slowly dropped down into the Cathound pits, just long enough for them to take one bite at a time over the course of 7 days. The third day, of course, the Morty died, but that was still a lot of him left for the Cathounds to go at.
Oh my. That is rather vicious. I always find how huts find such new and interesting ways to torture people that cross them. You never find the same story twice, do you?
You really don't. That is only what happens when they actually are able to get their hands on you. They can't actually touch you. They go after, well, Toopel at least likes to go after friends, family, contacts, associates. Whatever it takes to draw you out. Eventually, enough people you know have suffered that you don't want to risk it happening to them, to any more of them.
Oh, it's a big shame then that he's maybe unsurprisingly made so many very interesting enemies.
Such as you?
Yeah, yes, pretty much us and others.
Would it be asking a secret if I were to ask why?
Why what?
Why you, of all people, have such a grudge against Opal to single him out of the dozens of arguably more impressive huts on Nalhata. If you wanted to upsell yourself, you could have picked any one of them. There's a reason you went after Opal.
A little bit. Let's say there's a lot of people that he's crossed, and perhaps have some things in the past that need to stay there, and it'd be better if he got a little bit of what's coming. As it turns out, poor Tolpol is a very interesting place that can cause a lot of trouble, which I think Major Sill is looking for. Optimization and all that. It's really quite a blissful feeling when your own personal motivations and your business align together in the same direction.
How many other enemies have you met of Opal? He's just gonna start glancing over her crew. He asks that. Perhaps saying it just a little bit more loudly than he would have to for her to hear it. What kind of reaction does that get from the rest of them?
I mean, you probably get enough of a reaction that it confirms what you suspect. But she kind of goes with I've made a contact with enough of them.
Get a little nod to that. He's gonna take out his data pad, type something into it, then pass her a chip out of it.
Okay.
Whatever happens in terms of business here today, consider yourself having met one more.
Oh, how splendid. This day is just getting better.
He nods and yeah, I'm guessing she takes the chip out from him.
Yeah. Yeah, she takes the chip and kind of does the thing with it.
Yeah, and he's gonna like nod and turn and walk back to his seat.
Yeah, I think on your way back, you hear a passing comment from the small group of the Black Sun, and the comment that you'd overhear is just, I wonder, no, phrasing. I wonder why he's so belligerent towards us. Yes, it is kind of shocking, isn't it? What a shame. And you get out of their ear range.
Oh, that doesn't bode well.
I wonder why.
So I started blasting.
Yeah. Anyways.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, that's all I got there.
All right.
What's Lord up to?
Yeah. It's about to jump there. What? So do we want to do dig deeper, or is there something else that Nard is doing? As there's some noticeable sound and activity out in the hallway. You're not quite sure for what, but there is a lot of hustle and bustle.
Yeah, that was the consequence of all the things that suddenly I'm stuck in between all rock and a hard place. And I think I'll just get on comms with anybody who wants to answer.
What do you say?
Depending on if Mason or Kato picks up, or even Lizzie.
Sure, Mason will pick up. Yeah, what's up, nerd?
Yeah, looking around out here, the port decks, whatever garage we're in, seems like the Quasar Raiders are locking it down. They're getting in position at least.
Are they surrounding the ship?
No, I think it's more the whole thing. It's not a ship that are out there.
Oh. Oh.
It might just be me being a little bit nervous. I've been into their systems and looked around for stuff. There's a lot of shady stuff going on here.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay. I will tell Kato. Thank you for letting me know.
Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna deep dive to see if there's anywhere we can go with this. But I
Alright.
might be in trouble because people are around.
Okay. Just be careful. We'll hopefully be back soon.
Well, now they know, so now I can go for the deep dive. I do definitely want to roll for warfare to figure out where these kids would be trained. Depending on my background, because I was actually in a squad spearmashing force sensitive people.
Sure. Warfare or lore. Bouncing a little bit there. Where they'd be trained though, difficulty would be 4 purple. Nope. You're not able to determine either way. No real concise information. Probably somewhat understandably. No one's going to promote where they would do this.
All the things I know already has been taken care of by the Empire or Rebellion. Yep.
Yeah. The threat is... No, that's a lot more than one threat. The threat is you're going to be locked out of the computer soon.
No, that's fine. I'm just hogging out. I don't think this computer had the information I want.
Okay. What is next for Nard?
Getting back to the ship without drawing attention from all these Quasar Raiders.
All right. How do you go about this?
I'll walk to the ship in my flowery shirt and my flip-flops.
Okay.
I do love that detail.
Yeah, right. The Hawaiian basilisk. So you go to the door, and there's a bunch of the upstart crews and stuff that are now walking back towards their ship. So now the corridor is very busy. You got the Quasar Riders at points along the wall, and you got a good dozens of people that are gradually talking a lot. They're going over the meeting and their disappointments and whatnot, but they're just kind of one big this array of people that are gradually flooding back towards the landing pad. Some of them have already started the rush to getting their ship started up
Okay.
and leaving promptly. So yeah, you get back to the ship without incident.
Yeah. I can't do much. I'm making sure that people get fed when they're done with their meetings. So I'll just go to the galley and start food, I guess.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Anything else happens back in the table room before we move on?
Mason again. He just keeps an eye out. He'll watch Kato as he goes over to talk to the other crew, and he'll keep an eye on Lesseek so she doesn't run off and do anything stupid. Yep, basically, yeah. He may quickly have an aside with her and say, so just so you know, this went fairly smoothly, as bad as it may have seemed. You sure you want to get into this line of work, kid?
I mean, we're so much better than those losers. We're number 4. They're like
Yeah,
not even in place. We're so much better. This is exciting.
that's true. That's true. It is exciting. It is. Yeah, cool. If you're enjoying yourself, you're enjoying yourself.
Am I
And,
looking tough?
Mason
Is
will-
this good enough? Am I like threatening?
No, but you are here and you are learning, which is good. Maybe one day you will be a very threatening and tough person, but for now, just observe and learn, and be patient.
Okay. Like, and then as Kato comes back, did you make more friends?
Yes, actually.
Oh, really? What do they like something in particular, like a gift or something we can make for them?
I gave them all contact information. I expect we'll be hearing from them after this at some time.
Oh, okay.
Can't say when, I'm afraid. He's gonna sit back down.
Is this networking?
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? None of you have any facial expression from the passing comments? Kato? Or is he still chipper and smiley?
No, I think his face falls back down to focused as he kind of anticipates things getting back to the business at hand.
Okay. Fair. So you guys wait. Total the break time in total is probably about half an hour. There was no immediate rush. Plenty of time to make sure that all the failures basically had sifted out of the room. And all that left was the chosen 4. I think at one point Elsdar on his way out kind of gives you a pat on the shoulder before he actually fully leaves with his couple people.
Take care of yourself.
Yeah, you too. It's a crazy galaxy out there these days.
Get over.
Do you change seats? Because obviously the jockeys move up closer, not next to the Quasar Riders, but they get more in the neighborhood. Instead of being 2/3 a table away, they shift up to maybe a few spots away from the Raiders.
Hey, Kato, by the way. The Quasar Riders are being weird at the hangar. They're surrounding it. Just wanted to let you know.
Sorry, what's that?
The Quasar Riders are surrounding the whole hangar with all the ships with a lot of people. Nard contacted me and let me know. I don't know what they're planning or what they're doing, but something's happening. Maybe you should contact Nard and get better information.
Don't know if we have time. Things are about to pick back up.
Yep. Ain't that the question?
How quickly do you think you could get back to the ship, to Nard?
Pretty quick. Could you keep an eye on this one?
I can
That point
go.
delays.
I don't need your assistance.
All
If
right then.
something does happen.
Sure. I'll be off then. And Mason jumps off of whatever thing he was standing on and starts a running back.
Okay. You like go into a sprint, a fast jog.
Starts out as a jog, and then when I get away from the thing, it becomes full on sprint.
Okay. Barging through people or in the hallway.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Actually, can I roll a grace check of some kind, like a how amazingly do I skirt between these people?
Sure. If you're trying to avoid them, we'll kind of go coordination. If we're seeing just how well you just sprint down and slightly bulldoze people, we'll say athletics. So it depends on the tone.
It's gonna be I'm skirting around. Mason is not the strongest man, so he's not a bulldozy kind of guy. He's a weave between people kind of thing.
Sure, coordination then.
The only thing they will feel is the whip of his jacket, like coat, his cape-like jacket, whip them as he skirts by.
And that's
all right,
and that's how he made
coordination.
more enemies. Whips people with his coat, and they turn around and 2 purple.
What? Sorry, 2 purple.
Yeah.
2 purple. Coordination.
Oh yeah.
I'm the best.
No problem. No fucking problem.
Yep. Mason is like the wind.
However, a threat.
But a threat in this case is
Single threat.
the threat would be, I don't know if it's really going to be anything of severe consequence that I can think of.
Just a little bit winded then.
I think it's maybe one Quasar Rider kind of notices. They don't do anything, but you stick out like a sore thumb and by moving as quick, because everyone else is just walking, right? Like they're just like taking their time getting back to the ship, and then you're just like right through like Sonic, you know what I mean? So they're like, what the fuck is that, you know?
It's just me being amazing. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I have things to do.
I have people to kill.
People to kill, things to see. I got things to see and people to do. I mean, shit.
Yeah. And I'm all out of gum.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm here to-
you can bolt up the ramp.
Yep. I bolt into the hangar. I catch all those Quasar dudes who are surrounding the thing.
They're just they're not stopping anybody. They're positioned in the corridor and kind of set up in like, you know, a group oriented spot. And it's somewhat in the hangar as well. They're kind of sitting up with almost like not positions, because it's not like they have cover, but they're getting into like, you know, they're spacing out. They're getting into a formation kinda. along the walls.
Yeah.
But nothing's gone down. But they're not just like social clump like they were at the start, where it was just like 50 people just all kind of shooting the shit, playing games or whatever.
Yep.
Now they're business.
Okay. Yep. Okay. You know what? Actually, this could be real dumb, but I'm gonna do it anyways. Mason will approach one of the Quasar Rider soldiers
Okay.
casually, no guns.
At a full sprint, just hey, how's it going?
Yeah, he arrives at the hangar and slows down and sort of takes a breath to catch himself. And he will slowly approach one of the soldiers and say, "Hey, do you know what's going on here? Are you blocking people from entering or leaving, or are you setting up some form of thing? Whatever it is, I want no part of it. I just need to know what's going on here so I can avoid whatever's coming."
All right, yeah. Well, business is business. They say. I mean, maybe if you don't want to be part of stuff, you just get in the ship and fly away real quick, huh?
Get in the ship and fly away real quick. Okay, I will keep that in mind. Thanks very much. And Mason goes onto his ship.
It starts the engines up, and that's the end of the episode. Bye, guys.
Flies away. No, he'll step onto the Remembrance, and Kato, you're gonna get a call on your comlink.
Hello? No. Hello?
Kato, I got some bad news. I think they're gonna light this place up.
Is the ship secure?
For now, but there's lots of guys, and I only got 2 guns, so not for very long.
Do what you can to hold out. As soon as it happens,
That's-
let us know. We'll make our way to you.
Well, that's reassuring. All right, I'll lock the door, and you two need to stay safe out there. Something's gonna happen. I bet you the meeting's gonna be intervened. Like something's gonna stop the meeting.
One last thing, Mason.
Mm-hmm.
If you have to, take the ship and leave.
You sure?
I am. We'll find our own way.
You got it. Mason hangs up the thing. Nard, we're leaving. Mason starts heading towards the cockpit.
We're not halfway done yet.
Well, here's the thing. I got a tip that this place is going to become a pincushion real fast. It's going to be full of holes. It's like Swiss cheese, okay? And unless we want to be full of holes, we got to get out of here soon. Kato just gave me the go-ahead that we could leave if I felt that we needed to. And I just spoke to one of the guards out there, and he said, "Hey, if you want to not be a part of what's going on, maybe take the ship and go." So, hear me out.
Yeah,
I'm not
hearing you.
leaving Kato behind. I'm just leaving Kato behind. You know what I mean? It's not. I don't want to leave Kato behind. I want to come back for him and get him in some way. But he told me to leave. And now I'm conflicted. You see? I don't want to be that guy.
Did you make any friends while talking to people?
Just one. And he politely told me to leave. Very threateningly.
Oh yeah. So we don't
With
have
one
any
of-
allies if we want to do back up this thing.
I mean, I saw Kato getting friendly with the with another group out there, so maybe they could be helpful. But again, Quasar Riders, they got a lot of guys.
Really
so I don't know.
don't. I really don't have another group as a contact information. So yeah, okay. I'll pack up these things. You start the engines and make sure we get clearance to leave.
Sure, that sounds good. And Mason hops in the cockpit and starts talking with the person who controls the hangar doors.
Okay. For some reason, I thought you were gonna say I'm talking to the ice machine. I don't know why I thought that.
I am the Iceman.
So it just flops down. It's like, I need a drink. Yeah. All right. Fair enough. So you start getting basically.
Kato, you're gonna get another call.
Yes.
Kato, I'm starting the ship. Are you sure you don't want to come with us?
Things are not bad.
Look, this isn't me being a coward. This is me realizing the situation.
Being a coward.
Being a coward. I'm sorry.
Oh,
This is gonna go to hell in a handbasket real fast.
The castles are still around, right?
yeah. I mean,
Yes.
you should be at the most safe position with the.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I mean, or we could stay and we could team up with the castle jockeys. And we could try and fight off Quasar Riders. And to be fair, I would absolutely love to shoot some Quasar Riders right now. But there's a lot of them. So if we're staying, we better be friendly with those guys. But if we're not being friendly with those guys, we gotta go. Because this is gonna go real bad. You feel me? This is again, you're the business guy here. You know what's going on. I don't want to leave you behind. Again, I respect you. You're my friend. I've worked with you for a long time, which is why I haven't flown away yet. And I'm leaving the final decision up to you. But at the end of the day, I want to keep Nard and myself alive. Mostly myself. But you know what I'm saying?
I understand, Mason. Is there enough time for Lizette to get to the ship?
I'm sorry?
Is there enough time for Lizette to get to the ship?
Yeah, I'm sure. I don't know when they're going to pull this thing, but I'm sure she can make it. Wait, no, don't send her alone.
Sending her. Take the ship and
Nope.
go. I'll find my own way off once I've done everything I can here.
Nope, Kato, I'm coming to get her. I'm not letting her go alone. Especially with Black Sun around. Aren't they looking for kids? Those fucking
right.
creeps. Here, I'll be there soon. And
All right. Thank you, Mason.
yeah, Mason hangs up. And he starts a running again.
I stowed everything. Where you go? Fuck.
I gotta get Lisik. I'll be right back. And the door closes as he says that. And yeah, I will sprint again. Would you like me to roll yet another coordination check, or am I just a god at this point?
Well, with 4 successes from the previous roll, I guess I don't really have much say in it. You're pretty much a god. I mean, at this point, since I've been on a Dragon Ball stint lately, you could instant transmission if you wanted to at this point. So
sure, I'll instant transmission, ultra instinct, whatever the fuck at this point, man.
But yeah, so, you can bolt through there pretty quick. Still regular traffic. I mean, it's starting you're at the tail end. Like most of the upstart crews have gone through the corridor between the 2 domes and now are mostly in the hangar. So the hangar now is the busiest part that are full of people, more or less. But you get back through the traffic and get into the big meeting room.
Okay. I immediately run up to Kato and Lisik. You see Mason has like a single bead of sweat going down his head as he's just had to run a lot. And he goes to Lisik and he goes, okay, Lisik, here's the thing. We're leaving.
What?
Yeah, you got to come with me.
But we're number 4. We got to stay here and get number 1.
Look, yes, we're number 4. And Kato's going to take care of that. But it's It's not safe right now. I whisper that to her. It's not safe. We have to go.
It's okay. I got a rifle.
Something.
It's fine. We're well equipped.
You got a rifle? Yes, we are well equipped, but there's only 2 of us.
Does
Kato's
he
not
go
well
with
equipped.
you?
Fine. She like sulkingly
you.
walks towards the ship, or like out the meeting
Thank
room
you.
first. Yeah.
Thank you for understanding. And Mason takes her by the hand and fucking starts running with her again. And just before he leaves, he looks to Kato and he gives him a nod, like, "You sure about this?" Don't say I didn't ask. And he starts running out.
Do you guys need an extra moment? You know, the whole "I love you, I know" moment. Like, is that where we're going with this?
Hey, shut up.
I respect you. I know.
Yep.
Uh,
Fuck you, Sal.
I'm sorry.
Trying to have an awesome moment between fuck bros here, man. And you're just there like, oh, you no kiss. No, fuck you. All right.
Disregard romance. Acquire bromance.
Yeah.
Bromance arc unlocked. Yeah. I'm sorry. It's the first thing that jumped in.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Mhm.
yeah, you get out there, and now it's just Kato in the meeting room. So again, do you change your seat at all? Because you're like halfway down the table.
Yeah, I don't even know where. Hey, this is hard to do without like a visualization, honestly.
It's tricky.
But
Think of like
yeah,
it's like
he'd
an
move.
oval table. One end would be where the major was. You were probably about halfway. The quasars were like right next to where he was. Now
What's
there's
the round table?
oval.
Oval. Oh, oval. You said. Yeah, he'll move closer. He'll try and position himself close to the Kessel jockeys, actually.
Okay. So you're gonna be like what, right next to them, or a couple spots down, or across from them? Like, kind of, how do you want the?
Next to them, definitely. Maybe a spot or 2 down, depending on who's already there, or something like that.
Okay. Nice. So you can get into a spot. So I guess basically there's Quasar Riders, a few spots down, jockeys, and then you're a couple spots down from them. And then on the other side, by themselves, opposite the Quasar Riders now, is the Black Sun. Is basically kind of the orientation of everything. So yeah, Major, eventually the doors snap open, you know, and he comes back in with his entourage, and he seems much more, not delighted, that would be kind of an overstatement, but appeased with the smaller crowd and not having all these, as he phrased, degenerates around in the room as much anymore. Now, because it's just the 4 of you, the people who have actually presented some ability to do what's asked, to get this bid. And yeah, so he opens up. He's still got his arms crossed, and he's like, "All right, yeah, degenerates, you made it this far. You know, you got a platform. You got something that you can offer the cause. Now we need to start talking money. And how much you guys think can buy this opportunity." And he looks between like the Black Sun and the Quasar Riders. I suspect this will be easier for some. You know, so if you guys, the other parts of you, maybe you should know better. You know, you got your chance to still walk out the door. I don't think nothing of it. you'll still be all right in the eyes of the Republic. And he pauses.
He's talking. We have to pay him.
Yeah, you're buying the contract, kind of.
Right. Oh, right. How much did Babbitt
Daggett.
give us? Baggett, thank you. How much did he give us for this?
I think that ends up being the most difficult part of his proposition. Like, all his business stuff, like he has decent contacts, decent means to do it. He can repair droids, modify droids. As you said, he can hit decent targets. But the money he's offering is probably like, it's like barely $100,000.
I should have taken the ship.
I changed my position on the table and lean over. Is that offer still up around?
No. Okay. Yep. Did you say did you say 1K or 100K?
100K, yeah, 100K, 100,000.
Okay.
But
Really?
your winnings are directly related to how cheap you can buy this.
Yeah.
Yeah, essentially. You would have known this ahead of time. If you want to retcon your decisions, we can do a little. I'm not a huge fan of that, but I mean, it was character knowledge ahead of time. Like, you had all this going on the ship on your travel here.
No.
All right. Fair.
We're doing this.
Okay. Just give him fair chance. It's not like something, as much as I presented it late, it's not, random, not meta, but the counter meta. But
Yeah.
Yeah, anyways.
This is probably something I should have asked or had written down beforehand, so...
Yeah. So yeah, that's...
Besides, if this had been something that would have changed their mind, probably would have walked out the moment the Black Sun first showed up.
Yeah, okay. Each their own. So yeah, that's when you realize that you're basically holding, like, you did a good presentation. You did probably pretty much what Baggett wanted out of you, is this big grandiose ability to kind of sell yourselves and make everything. And then you've gotten to the point where, in that figure, or that metaphorical poker hand, you're getting to your weak cards now, and it's like, and you know who you're up against, right? They've already been established.
So,
I mean,
Quasar Riders, Black Sun, Kessel jockeys, and
You.
2 or 3 others.
No, just you.
Oh, just them. And OS.
Yeah. So he goes, and I think deliberately Major Sill goes to the jockeys first, and they do this, like, she does this whole thing where she tries to preface a lot of, before she gets to any numbers. Like, he's looking for the numbers, and she prefaces, like, just keep in mind what we told you, who we can hit, and how important that is, but we can only, what we can put on the table, and it's like $90,000. So, and there's noticeably kind of not necessarily a negative reaction from Major Sill, but not a positive one either. He kind of still has that, type stance, the poker face. Nothing doesn't really budge that much, and there's that cold silence in the room for a minute. Maybe you get a little arrogant, smug chuckle out of the Wookiee when the number comes out. Like, it's just like almost like laughable. Like, it was a good joke for him. And then he turns, Major kind of gestures to you. And you? What's this opportunity worth?
How does Kato spin this?
You could always do like politics and run a smear campaign. Supposedly that works.
No, yeah. I don't think it would work on Major Sil, though, given his initial reaction to the bickering earlier. You know what? As Sil questions him, Kato just flat out tells him 101K. The public credits up front.
And yeah, then he moves on and looks over to the only person on his right, because you're all, the three of you are on his left. Looks over his right to the Black Sun, and the gentleman that I have sitting does the whole, well, this should be perhaps very straightforward for you, Major, but we can very easily and very simply give you 250 grand. And, you know, the Major turns over to the Quasar Riders and goes, last and least, what about you? And the Wookiee has this kind of like another kind of smug, I'm gonna say a smug smirk on his face, but that's really difficult with all the hair. It's hard to get that inflection of the lips, really. But there's definitely a kind of a swagger type mannerism to his body and whatnot, as he kind of, maybe it's in the whole kind of that fake presentation of how they come forward and they got that kind of smirk on their face, ready like with that like winning hand. Yeah, that's not really in the lips though there, Nard, but that's, you know, the gesture, sure, with the hands behind the head. Yeah. And the Wookiee puts out a number, and the advisor kind of like translates it, and it's like 275,000. So the Major, you know, still arms crossed. Well, if this is a numbers game, it looks like these guys, they aren't just for show. He looks around at the busy room. You know, there's as many Quasar Riders in there's more Quasar Riders in here than there are his own security. Well, gotta hand it to these ones. I guess this is all said, and then the Black Sun fella stands up and goes 300K. And the Major pauses. Oh, really? That's not bad. 300K. And then the Black Sun guy goes, 300K, and we can deliver you someone special. Oh? And the Black Sun person just holds his gaze and goes, you know what we're talking about. I see. That's some negotiation there. I think I'll take up on this. Alright. Looks like these guys ended up getting it then. Good doing business with all of ya. And the Wookiee roars in fury and just smashes his hands down on the table and gets up and points his finger at the commander, or at the major. And that's when all the Quasar Riders pull their blasters. And that will be the end of the session.
Yep. Okay.
Yep. By the way, did Mason make it back to the ship with Lizzie?
Oh no.
We'll find out.
We'll find out next time. Oh, fuck.
So that brings us an end to this week's episode. That expression from Kato pretty much sums it up. You know, I'm really good at the end of session, like, suspenseful moments, you know? Like, just nailing them.
Mason is someone special. Thank you, Crazy Maniac.
So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed it. I'm glad we're back. We'll keep this going. Hopefully real life and stuff won't keep getting in the way. I'm so glad you're all here. Thank you for the views. If you love what we do here, please support us so we can continue to do it more. Aside from that, usually there isn't too many shoutouts, but we'll let Fiend do at least his. So if you got shoutouts.
Thanks. Yeah, I'll go ahead. Follow me at the Fantastic Fiend on Twitch and YouTube. I make gaming related videos, whether it be tabletop and or video games. I'm currently working on a review of Hades, which I finally finished. It took me almost 100 hours to get through all the content in that game. It's really worth your time. That's like the short version of the review. Long version of the review is come watch the video when it comes out. Go subscribe. On the YouTube at least, because it's free there. On Twitch it's not free. At least do the free subscribe. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Just a clicky click. Anyways, for this channel, drop Zal a follow if you enjoyed your time. I certainly did. And geez, episode 11. Episode 12 is gonna be wild. I can't believe we're already on episode 12. That's crazy. We'll see how it goes.
Right.
We could all die next week. So let's hope that doesn't happen. But that's me. Cheers.
All right. I will hopefully have an update to getting the VODs basically of the stuff put on YouTube. It'll probably just be a raw format. We'll just dump the MP4s or whatever into YouTube, and hopefully that works. I don't know. I hope I don't have to do any video editing, because then that will suck. And I don't want to have to learn that stuff generally, even though I probably should anyways. But anyways, we'll get to it later. Hopefully I'll have an update. I'll get the stuff on YouTube, so if need be, people can get caught up on at least a handful of episodes. And aside from that, we will see you for Star Wars next week. I don't see anything that's going to infringe upon that. Aside from that, Wednesday, I'll be back to roleplay or Dragon Ball, whatever Wednesday. Take it easy, folks.
Later.
Adios.